Good morning. If you want to wrap up conversations and head back to your seat, we're going to go ahead and start the next session. I hope you all are enjoying Recruit Wichita so far. We've heard from a lot of really great speakers. We've heard from Leah give the research of the brand, and we've heard from Cherie give the deep dive into why we have the brand and why we're relentlessly original. And we've heard a great innovative perspective from Fidelity Bank with Melissa Knober. But before we start this session, I'm just going to play a really quick video.
It's time to break the mold.
Make your own way. Be the exception to the rule and go where opportunity is growing.
Where big ideas come from every corner and success is on your terms.
Where big business meets powerhouses of one.
A city of past,
present, and future innovators pursuing
success
relentlessly.
Raise your expectations.
Live bigger, where and how you want. With the ability to indulge, explore,
and invest in a time and place ready for your view.
Your energy.
Your brand of different. And where the best days,
nights,
and moments are unexpected personal discoveries.
This is where independence lives.
And where your dreams,
talent, and happiness will and should always remain relentlessly original.
Just one of the tools that we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Meghan Carver. I'm the Communications Specialist for Talent at the Greater Wichita Partnership, which means my job is to create customized content for you all so that you all can go out and aggressively and boldly and strategically attract talent to the region. So these tools were created based on the research that Leah talked about earlier. They're all outlined in the Talent Marketing Blueprint. And so everything that we do is based on that research. So I want to talk a little bit more about why I'm standing here. I know it's my job, of course, but what I'm really passionate about is seeing the city move forward. And I'm really passionate about where we are today and just how palpable, how you can feel it in the air, the momentum and the passion and the enthusiasm people have, all the way from downtown development down to grassroots campaigns and efforts to make this city amazing. And I pinch myself every morning getting out of bed to be able to come and help you all attract talent to the region. And to be able to do that is absolutely amazing, and I'm so thankful that I get to do that. So why did we even create these tools? Like I said, Leanne talked about this earlier. All of the tools that we create are based on research, and she mentioned earlier with some of the patterns from the research findings in 2016 and 2017 is that you all know how to sell your organization. You all know what makes your organization stand out and what makes your organization unique, and you know how to attract talent to your organization to work for you. But we found that you all struggle to sell the region. You're really, really good at knowing what's amazing about your region or with your organization, but how do I bring talent to Wichita? And so that's why we want to be an extension of your team. You all are effective and amazing at selling your own organization, and we want to be an extension of your team to help you sell Wichita. And so I'm going to go over a lot of different tools today, and I only have about 20 minutes. So I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, but if you have any questions or if you want to follow up with Leah or I or someone on the team, either during lunch or after the event today, we're happy to sit down and talk to you about how these tools can be integrated into your own talent strategy and how you can use these as you're recruiting talent. So with all of these tools and all of the amazing things that were going on in the region, not only in Wichita, but in Hutchinson and Newton and Goddard and Andover, it's impossible to mention everything that goes into these tools. It's impossible to mention all of the amazing things that we could talk about with all of these tools. So I want to mention that these are all a work in progress. We just launched this brand in February. More tools are to come, and I hope that you all will use these tools and then come back to us and say, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's how this can be improved. So we want to be an extension of your team and promote that collaboration between the Greater Wichita Partnership and all of you here today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into these tools. I know that there's going to be a lot, but I think it makes the most sense to start with the website. So this is kind of what started it all. It's also where most of the tools that I'll talk about are housed. And so the website is your one-stop shop, not only for you, but for talent as well. There are plenty of resources on there on where to find a job, where to find a house, where do I live? Should I live in College Hill? Do I want to have a farm with chickens and still be within 30 minutes of the urban core? Do I want to live in Riverside? Or do I want to live in downtown in the Garvey Center? Whatever that looks like. Or maybe it's professional development opportunities, or how do I get engaged with the community? All of those resources are found on the website. So it takes the load off of you a little bit of needing to know everything about Wichita. I don't know everything about Wichita, so this is a great resource, not only for you to familiarize yourself with all things relentlessly original of the region, but also for talent to learn more about what there is available to do here. The next tool I'll talk about is one that we just watched. That's the hype video. So it's also on the website. If you scroll down a little bit on the homepage, this is the screen that you'll see. So the hype video is another way to showcase the brand, the relentlessly original brand. And Leah mentioned this earlier with the research. One of the most compelling ways that talent will make an impression about a community is through firsthand experience. And while we can't pay for everybody to come to Wichita and experience it for themselves, this is one way that we can provide a really compelling visual with impactful language for them to experience the region and see what it's like to live here. So the audience for this is new employees. If you wanted to show it during orientation, whether that's for your summer interns or for new employees or new students, or maybe you've got out-of-state students or whatever that looks like, maybe during a campus visit, this is a great tool to use during that to help talent visualize what it's like to live here. And like I said, I am going to go through these really, really quick. Another tool that's on the website is the Choose Wichita blog. The blog provides a real-time inside scoop on what is it like to live in a relentlessly original place. These are updated about twice a month, and they range from everything from where do I eat in the summer to what is it like to live, like I said, with chickens in half an hour away from the urban core, or what is it like to live downtown. We also have a blog on there from a summer intern who had only been to Wichita maybe once or twice before, and she wrote about her experience living here over the summer for a couple of months as an intern and how much she enjoyed being in Wichita. So we have guest bloggers on there as well, and we do fun things. We talk about work and all those different things. And again, that's another way for you to reference. You don't need to know everything there is to know about Wichita, and quite frankly, it's impossible. So this is another great way to familiarize yourself with what's going on. And you might already know about the things that are on the blog, but it's interesting to read something and read it in a different way. Maybe you already knew about Leslie Coffee Company, but when you read it through the lens of how talent would look at it, that's really impactful, and it's a great way to think about the way that you are selling the region. Another tool that's on the blog or on the website is the Wichita Insiders. So again, based on the research that Leah mentioned earlier, if talent has a direct connection to a community, they're much more likely to consider moving here. And so this provides a direct connection for everybody, whether you're a current resident, a new resident, or prospective talent, and you just want to know more, and you're like, I'm thinking about taking this job, but I'm really apprehensive about where I'm going to be moving. Well, I can reach out to someone directly who lives there and ask about what can my family be doing in the region? What can I do to engage with nature? Or what is it like to live downtown? Just to be able to have someone to be able to reach out to directly and just type your message as it scrolls down. There we go. Like, what do you want to ask Mallory? You can ask them anything. You can engage with them on social media, and that's really effective. And we've also seen that our insiders have gotten national recognition because this is such a relentlessly original way to engage with talent. And so we're really excited about this part in particular, and these insiders are rotated about quarterly for now, and we might bump that up a little bit. And if you know of anyone who would make a great insider, you can scroll down to the bottom of the Wichita Insiders page. They can fill out a form to be considered for that rotation. So this is a great tool to share with prospective students, or maybe someone you're showing a house to that's a new resident that wants to get more engaged with the community. This is a great tool for them. So the insiders, the blog, and the hype video are all housed on the website. The next couple of tools I'll talk about are more for internal use. So there's something that you would use with your team. You wouldn't necessarily print them off and hand them to talent. So the first one I'll talk about is the key messages. And I know Cherie talked about this earlier, but I'm going to go into a little bit more depth on how they can be used with you all in your jobs recruiting talent and talking to talent. And so the key messages really help you with your elevator speech. So we've all gotten that question. I know I've gotten that question of, well, okay, I've never heard of Wichita before. What do you say? Do you say, you're trying to scramble and think, okay, like now I got to think about how do I normally talk about Wichita? What are my experiences? And in that moment of nervousness, you're like, you might not say what you wanted to say, and then you think later, like, man, I really should have said that, or this is such a more relentlessly original thing to say. So these message pillars will help you with your elevator speech when you've only got 30 seconds to tell someone, why do I need to move to Wichita? What's in Wichita? What's different about Wichita that I can't find anywhere else? And so, again, these key messages are intended for your internal use as a training tool, and I encourage you to make them your own. You'll notice on your tables that you've got a copy of the key messages. It's not something that you would read off and stand in front of talent at your career booth, and you're like, let me read these off to you, We make unexpected possibilities. You don't have to do that. The point is for you to embody them and make them your own and add in your own authentic perspective and experiences with them. You could put them in your marketing materials. You could put them, and I'll show you an example of a way that we use them in our marketing materials here in a few minutes. But we really encourage you to make them your own and embody them. And so the other tool that we have that's mostly for that internal use is the tough questions document. And I have experience recruiting both for admissions in a university setting. I've also got experience recruiting for a company. I've worked with human resources professionals before, and I know that these tough questions are really hard to answer, especially because they come from preconceived notions about the region. So you're thinking about diversity or politics, or I don't want to move to Kansas because tornadoes are going to be chasing me on my way to work. Not going to lie, someone did actually tell me that. And so those tough questions are really hard to answer, and they're usually based on those preconceived negative perceptions, usually, about things that people already think about Wichita or even the state of Kansas. And so these tough questions are outlined in that tough questions document that can be found at choosewichita.com. And again, those are intended for internal use. They're a training tool, and they highlight what's original about the region without reinforcing those negative perceptions and using facts and what's original, again, just not to say just shut it down, but to be able to replace it with something that is true about the region. And so the key messages, again, in the tough questions documents are mainly for internal use. I want to make that really clear. You wouldn't just print off your tough questions and hand them to talent. That's not the intention with these tools, but they are really useful to help your teams when they're out recruiting across the country. So the next tools I'll talk about are more for external use, or something that you would physically hand to talent when you're at a career fair, if you've got summer interns that are coming. And so these are the ones that are like sprinkled out across your tables. I know they look really pretty, stand out, but I encourage you to grab them and experience them, read through them, and that the Welcome to Wichita document and the perfect day that I'll go over. So the first one I'll talk about is the Welcome to Wichita document. And this was created because within our own organization and within the organizations that we work with, we found that there wasn't really a basic starting document on Wichita. We've got the bucket list and the perfect day, which I'll talk about, but if no one's ever heard of Wichita before, what do we give them? How do we tell them what we're about? And so the Welcome to Wichita document uses those key messages in those 3 panels and includes a call to action to find a job, to download the bucket list, and to follow us on Instagram. And so if no one's ever heard of Wichita before, this is a great document to use, whether that's in a welcome packet for your campus visitors or for a welcome packet, a realtor packet, whatever that looks like. This is great for boomerangs too. If they've been gone for a while and a lot of things have changed, welcome back to Wichita. This is what we're about. And then again, inside the Welcome to Wichita document, like I said, a deal for new residents, and then it creates that new perception. So again, with like boomerangs, this is really effective because they might already have those preconceived notions. I mean, they left, so they already have some idea of what Wichita is, but this helps create that new perception, and it fits really well in the welcome packets. So the next tool that fits perfectly inside that Welcome to Wichita document, which was entirely purposeful, I promise you, is the bucket list. And that's one document showcasing a few relentlessly original things to do in Wichita. And this document really is for everyone. It's not just for potential talent. We really encourage recruiters to use this too. We encourage recruiters to go out and experience Wichita on their own to provide that authentic experience for talent. If you're not out experiencing Wichita yourself, that's not going to make you as effective when you're trying to go out and tell people why they should move to Wichita. And so the bucket list just goes over a few of those, and I know Danielle and Paola are going to talk about this in a few minutes, so I don't want to take too much of a dive into that one, but there is a regional bucket list coming as well. So the bucket list now highlights a lot of the things to do in Wichita that you can do, but there are amazing things to do in the region, such as the Kansas Cosmosphere or the Bartlett Arboretum or the Lake Afton Observatory. All of those things are more regional, and we want to create a regional bucket list to highlight those amazing things to do. So we have the Welcome to Wichita document, we've got the bucket list, so we're getting a little bit more detailed. The Perfect Day in Wichita document, which is on your tables, is if we wanted to take the next step. And so the Perfect Day in Wichita goes a little bit further to add in the best restaurants to go to, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or a mid-afternoon snack. Where are the best places to get coffee so that I can experience Wichita in a way that I can't experience something anywhere else? What can I experience in Wichita that cannot be found in any other city across the country? And so the Perfect Day in Wichita document is great if you don't have time to take talent around the city to show them around, or if you can show them around but only for a couple of hours. I know some universities will do out-of-state visit days where they bring in students specifically out of state to provide a really unique experience. And so this is great to give to those families, because when I worked in admissions, I got all of those questions. You know, where should we go to lunch after this? Or where should we go to dinner? Or what should we do tonight? What are the things to do? And so the Perfect Day in Wichita document outlines different arts and culture amenities that they can experience. And what's great is that this Perfect Day in Wichita document is hyper-focused on a condensed area so that they really can do it in one day. And again, while there are amazing things regionally, if they've only got one day, we got to make sure that it's possible for them to do that. So like I said, if you show a potential home to someone and you want to keep that momentum going, you can give them the Perfect Day in Wichita document to show off all of the amazing things there are to do here. So the Perfect Day in Wichita document, the bucket list, and Welcome to Wichita show off really what there is to do here. The next document is more about the cost of living. And so this is a visual representation of how much more affordable it is to live here. So you can see it shows off the different cost of living so that you can show how much more you can get out of life in Wichita. If you've got more money in your pocket at the end of the month, you've got more money and more time to go out and experience the region. Well, if you're in a bigger city, that might not be the case. You might be living in that city, but are you experiencing it to the fullest, such as Los Angeles or Chicago? A lot of your cost of living is going to go toward food and rent, so you're not going to be able to go out and experience the opera or the orchestra or the symphony like you can here in Wichita. So again, this document is a work in progress. I know I mentioned earlier that we want this to be a collaborative effort. We want to be an extension of your team. So if a tool is not working as well as it should, let us know. I mean, we're not the boots on the ground here. So if you let us know what's working and what's not, we can improve it. And this is one of those documents that we're kind of working through to see how we can make it better. So I know I've been talking a lot. I've got 2 more tools to go over. One of them is the talent presentation, and that's a presentation that's already been created with videos using the key messages so that you can go out and effectively sell your organization and not have to worry so much about, how do we create a presentation on how to talk about Wichita. And so this gives you the tools to do that. And creating presentations is not easy. It's time consuming. You've got to make sure that the visuals are right and the wording is right and make sure the transitions flow really well. And so we've already created that presentation for you. So all you have to do is download it for summer intern orientation or for new students or even new employee orientation. This presentation is great to handle all of those things. And it presents what it's like to work, live, and play in the region. And like I said, we just wanted it to be a more efficient use of your time so that you didn't have to go out and create a 30-minute presentation. And imagine if everyone in the city was using this presentation for their new interns or for their new employees. Imagine how that changes the perception of not only where you're working, but where you're working within your organization and within the region. Okay, so the last tool that I'll talk about is our social media. So I encourage you all to follow us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. These tools, there's 3 main reasons we have social media, other than obviously to have social media. But one of our main goals with that is to drive traffic to the website. We want talent to engage with us beyond social media and drive them to the website to see even more what there is to do in Wichita. The second is to share visuals of what it's like to live here. And Leah touched on this earlier with the research, is that if people have that visual before they come to a region, it's much more familiar and they're much more comfortable making that decision to move somewhere when they have visuals to help them with that. And the last is to build community pride. These social media platforms are not just for talent. It's to help build community pride and have pride in where you live and say, yes, this is where I'm at. And beyond that, if you're, again, like I talked about this earlier, if you think about something in a different way, you're going to have more pride in it too. It's not just Leslie Coffee Company. It's this amazing place where the barista is from New York, and she's doing all of these things to improve the business and doing coffee classes and all those amazing things. And so we really try to highlight what's really relentlessly original and unique about living in the Wichita region. So I encourage you to get talent to follow those social media accounts, and also to use the hashtag relentlessly original. I know you'll see it in our logo, and I know Cherie mentioned this earlier, but that hashtag relentlessly original is a way for all of you to engage in the conversation as well. So when you're out enjoying the Wichita region, enjoying the community, going to concerts, or hanging out at Norton's, or getting a cup of coffee at Leslie Coffee Co., whatever you're doing, it doesn't have to be Leslie, I don't know why I keep mentioning that, but when you go out and experience the region, I encourage you to use hashtag relentlessly original so that when talent goes and looks at that hashtag, they see all of these posts from community members that are like, yes, they're really passionate about their community, and look at all of these things that are going on here. So I know I talked really quick about all of those, and honestly, I could talk about them all day long, but I encourage you all to use these tools in your recruiting. I encourage you, whether it's with your summer interns, or whether it's with new employees, or when you're out recruiting across the country, I encourage you to use the tools, and beyond that, just let us know how they're going, how they're doing. Let us know we rely on your feedback to make these tools better. So please share with us. Email me, call me, contact Leah or anyone on our team, and we want to make sure these tools are as effective for you as possible, and let us know how they can be improved. So like I said, I could talk about these all day, but I really want you to hear from the recruiters that have been using these tools for a while and can talk to how the impact has been made, or talk to the impact that has been made on their organization. So we have Danielle Harmon here from Koch Industries. She is the college recruitment leader for both Koch and Georgia-Pacific, and they've been using these tools for a while, since the launch in February, so they've had some experience using these tools. And then we have Paola Nuñez representing the Newman University admissions team. And so they're recruiting students, and they've got a different demographics. I think they're both going to bring a really interesting perspective to the table. So I'm going to hand it over to them and let them share the impact that these tools have had on their organization.
All right, I have been on this stage before, and so I know how much it moves, so I'm just going to kind of stay in one place. So as she said, I am the recruitment leader for Koch Industries Talent Solutions. So one of the things that we do, and my team, a few of which are here in the audience, we are responsible for bringing interns, co-ops, and entry-level talent into the community to help fill those roles for the companies that are headquartered here in Wichita. So number-wise, probably about upwards of 150 plus new students are coming into this community to get started in Wichita. So, and then a little bit more background just on myself. I actually grew up and was raised in Arkansas City, so a bedroom community around Wichita. It's about an hour south of here. So Wichita was the place. We came here to shop. We came here if we actually wanted a nicer restaurant than Pizza Hut or McDonald's. So I have grown up around Wichita. I have seen this community change significantly over the years, but have called Wichita home for the last 22 years since I graduated and came to work at Koch. So I was a little surprised at first. So when I started out at Koch, I was in a non-HR role. I was a hiring manager, so I knew we were bringing talent into the community, but I didn't really understand the issues that we were all facing until I moved into HR and I realized that there was a perception of Wichita, and surprise, surprise, it's never really on the list of top 5 cities that a college student wants to move to, right? It's Oklahoma City, it's Kansas City, it's Dallas, it's Denver, it's Chicago. Wichita never really ranks up on that list. And so when I moved into college recruiting, that's when we really started seeing it. Time and time again with our surveys that we do, whether it's for students that are coming here to interview with us or whether it's interns as they're leaving, we probably over-survey them. We ask lots of questions, and we always ask lots of questions about declines. And so for years, location was number one on our list on why people decided to decline our offer. And we always heard well, if it was somewhere else other than Wichita, I would have accepted the offer. And that's really discouraging, especially for all of us that have lived in this community for so long and know that there's so many things to offer. So my first question to everybody, because I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into a couple of the tools. How many of you, as recruiters, as employers, or just as advocates of this community, have created some kind of document? Fun facts, places to go, cost of living analysis, things you love about Wichita, some kind of documentation that you use in your back pocket whenever you're talking to people to come to Wichita. Show of hands, how many of you have created something like that? So a lot of you, and we definitely did that at Koch, and it was a lot of effort, and it was a lot of work, and it was a lot of upkeep. So that was probably the biggest thing that I think has been very beneficial as we've partnered with the partnership, is having some of these tools at, right there in hand, that we don't have to go out and recreate the wheel. It cuts down on all the opportunity costs that we all have in terms of upkeep and maintenance of those. So one of the biggest ones, I'm going to talk about two, but one is the cost of living analysis tool. Not all of that on the document is necessarily applicable to college students, but the thing I think that we've benefited the most on that tool is that it at least helps the students directionally understand the differences in the communities that in some cases are probably ranking higher than Wichita. The other thing that I got the approval from the partnership to talk about is that flexibility in this tool. So we have an actual situation that happened. Over the past year to year and a half, I'd say, we have a competitor in the Houston market at a lot of our universities that were taking talent away from us. Either in the fall, these students were declining us, or the summer interns were saying, yeah, we're not gonna come and work for you. We have another opportunity with this other company in Houston. So we sat down with the team, talked through it, went through that data, and basically they created a document specific for us. I think what we did was we took Dallas off the sheet and added Houston onto the sheet. And that's been huge and very impactful for us on campus, especially those campuses where this competitor's at, just again, to show them ballpark of what it means in terms of their income, what it can do for them, and how far it will go in Houston versus how far it would go in Wichita. So that was really big. The second one is that bucket list. So I shamefully or proudly, I don't know which, but I have a 9-page Wichita to-do list that I started building like 2 years ago. It's huge, and it's all original Wichita stuff. You can't find this anywhere else. But it was to combat the constant comment at the end of the summer that there's nothing to do here. There's only nothing to do if you stay in your apartment and you never get out. And so basically that's why we created it. We kind of almost created it as a scavenger hunt. It was like, get out there and do something. We created this whole Connect ICT where they can earn points if they take things off that, or this new bucket list that's been created. They can get swag throughout the summer if they get these points. So basically to get them out in the community. That was huge because now having this bucket list and this tool that's available, one, we don't have to keep maintaining the 9-page to-do list. We don't have to keep growing it. We can kind of focus on that and get them out in the community, which has been huge. So for us, having that many students come into the community, then for our college recruiting effort, it's not my team that goes out and talks to all these students. We have a network of 800 volunteers that go out because it's their alma mater or they're passionate about it. So to close, I think the thing that really hit well with these tools is that it's a consistent voice for all of us. We all have things that we are very passionate about, whether it's the craft breweries or the restaurants where some of us, like myself, can talk about those nonstop. There's probably other areas of this community that each of us isn't an expert in, but the beauty of these tools is you don't have to be an expert in everything. You can leverage the tools, you can point students out to the site, and we can all have a consistent message. So our 800 volunteers have the tools at hand to be able to say that so that we truly can ask the question of why not? Why is Wichita not at the top of your list? Because that's what we're wanting to see from these students is why not? Why not Wichita? Why not come here, work here, live here, start your career here, and actually make an impact? Don't go to some of these other communities where maybe you can't drive some of the change. Come here to Wichita where you can drive that change. So, closing, our biggest success probably at Koch is that officially, within the last 2 years, location has dropped to number 2, in some cases number 3, and in some cases it's not even in the top 3 of why students decline our message. And I don't think for at least the last 2 summers we have heard there's nothing to do in this community. So that's a huge win. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Paola Nuñez and I am an admissions counselor at Newman University. But a little bit about me, I was laughing earlier at the presentation because it says a lot of people are moving from Los Angeles to Wichita, and my family was one of those people that did that. So, research, it's amazing. I love data too, so I'll be reading those documents. The nice thing is that one of the reasons my family decided to move to Wichita is cost of living, obviously, but for my parents, they really saw this as an opportunity for me and my brother to get opportunities we wouldn't get somewhere else. So I know when you think of Los Angeles, you think of movie stars, lots of money, so much fun. However, people don't realize how much other people there are. So imagine when you're trying to apply to college, you're not just competing against your high school class, you're competing against thousands of other people. Like UCLA gets so many applicants that they just reject everybody, right? So your chances of getting into your local college is slim to none. So definitely do not regret our move here. I am a proud graduate of Wichita State. I'm a proud graduate of Newman University. So I've been here for a couple of years now, and I'm like, yay, this is like the best place ever. So what makes this challenging, however, is I work with a first-time student team. So what that means is I actually get to help high school students figure out what they want to do next with their lives. So as everybody keeps saying, a lot of the time staying in Wichita is not on the top of their list. A lot of them have big dreams. They want to go be lawyers, surgeons, go change the world because, Generation Z is amazing, right? Really fun to talk to. However, one of the things I notice when I'm talking to these students at college fairs, at high school visits, or when they come onto campus and come talk to me individually, is you really get a sense that they are afraid that they're going to miss out on something spectacular if they stay here in the area, that they're going to miss out on the best career opportunity, that they're going to miss out meeting their significant other, or just being awesome if they decide to stay in the Wichita region, which we all know that's a lie, right? Yes, okay. So that's one of the challenges that we see is that we're really fighting FOMO. So if you're not familiar with FOMO, that stands for fear of missing out. So definitely something in the minds of our high school students, middle school students, and elementary school students. Why? Because of social media. So it's been a very eye-opening experience to see how we could get people excited about Wichita. So before we had all these awesome tools, we already knew that our location of our University of Newman, we're right downtown Wichita. We knew that's a big sell for our students because they are minutes away from their job, for them internships, for those fun things. However, again, people don't realize that. So in the beginning, how we try to incorporate the city of Wichita is by using that flag. So I know we are seeing that flag everywhere, so I'm proudly wearing a button of the Wichita flag. We wear it everywhere, designed by Jeff over there, shout out. So a lot of our marketing materials now incorporate that Wichita flag. Why? Because we are so proud of our location. We are so proud of the opportunities our students are able to utilize by staying in Wichita, by choosing Wichita. But that's kind of as far as we went, right? Let's incorporate the flag and let's hope people come. So after meeting with the Greater Wichita Partnership, they actually have all these awesome tools in front of you guys. And we were like shocked. We're like, wow, we don't have to do extra work. Like they did it all for us. So I know Danielle talked a little bit about that bucket list, but that bucket list for me has been something I take everywhere. So when I recruit, I typically recruit students from the Kansas City area, Oklahoma area. So again, places on that map that we should be getting people from. So one of the nice things about having that bucket list, it's not just a tool that we're like, hey, come to Wichita, it's fun. For us and for me personally, it's been a conversation starter. And I don't know how much recruiting that you guys do, but a lot of the time when we are talking to people, we're really trying to gauge the level of engagement of that person we're talking to. So at a college fair, at a high school visit, I get about a minute or two to really understand where that student is in their journey, where that student is in deciding to stay in Wichita area or leave. So when I bring that bucket list, I actually just bring it up in conversation by asking the student, this is out-of-state students, of course, have you ever been to Wichita? And believe it or not, when people get asked that question, they don't say yes, no. They actually tell you a pretty long story about how much they love Wichita, how they come every weekend because their grandparents are here, or, hey, I have a baseball tournament that's there every single summer. We're so excited to go. And of course, you get those few that are like, Wichita? Yeah, no, we're never going there. But again, this really helps with that conversation because when you're recruiting someone, regardless if you're recruiting for a job or to go to a college or university, you're really trying to see how much money, energy, and time you're spending on these people. So knowing where they are and that excitement about the city you're located in, that kind of really helps you understand and see how you're going to shape that story and continue that conversation with that person. So again, that bucket list is awesome. I have it in my car. Great thing to use. So earlier today, too, we saw that hype video. I know, I was so excited seeing it. I love that, can't get enough of it. So recruitment doesn't only happen outside in Kansas City and Oklahoma, outside of the Wichita region. In fact, it happens inside our companies, too. So our associate director of admissions, she actually started incorporating that hype video to our campus events. So while we're talking about Newman, while we're talking about all the great things that students can do to get a degree, they get to see what a great person they could be in this city. So we recently used this at an open house for students that are interested in going into the health professions field. So we haven't really talked about that, but great places to have a job here in Wichita area. And the nice thing is when we showed this video, again, the reason why we were using it is we just wanted to create excitement, right? A little buzz. However, afterwards, seeing the reaction of all the families that were there, and we had students that were from out of state, that were local, that were graduate students, that were undergraduate students. A lot of the feedback, they just kind of looked at us, especially the out-of-state students. They're like, what? That's Wichita? Like, had no idea you could do a flip with your bike here. Like, that is so cool, right? We don't think about that when we think of Wichita. We just think of, bigger cities. So it really sparks a sense of curiosity, and then they want to know more. They want to know your personal connections with the city. A little bit different with our local students. You see their reaction, they're like, oh, that's here? What? And at the end of the video, they're like, yeah, I'm from Wichita, look at me, I'm so cool. So again, it really creates that sense of community. So one of the biggest impacts for us is that now we're just not a university in Wichita. However, we're a part of a greater community. So definitely, that's one of the things I've loved about these tools is they've really showed us that, hey, when you come to Wichita, we're a small, big city. You're not just going to be a number. You're not just going to be someone that's competing with 500 other people for a job. You're going to be someone valued and special here. So I want to thank so much the Greater Wichita Partnership for giving us those tools. So definitely utilize them, and it's really awesome how creative you could do that too. So if anyone hasn't done those items on the bucket list, call me up. I'll be here afterwards. I'll do them with you. It's going to be fantastic. Thank you so much.